Morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. The central bank governor announced that there was going to be a change in our currency. Well, one has to be careful so as to be accurate. There will be a redesign of certain notes, the 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes to be redesigned by Central Bank of Nigeria. And in fact, I have the impression that this would have been done by now, but it'll only go into circulation on the 15th of December, and it's going to last for about just 3 months, by which time all the transitions are expected to have been completed. We'll come back and talk a bit more about this, even get your impressions up front, even before our guest arrives. But let's give you a background report on this, and then we'll come back and we'll open the phones and we'll talk about it a bit.
3.2 trillion naira is currently in circulation in Nigeria, but 2.7 trillion, representing 85% of the total amount, is outside the banking system's vaults.
Announcing the arrival of the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
This is one major reason why the Central Bank of Nigeria is now announcing its planned introduction of redesigned 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes by December 15th this year. The old currencies for the affected denominations will cease to exist as legal tender from the 31st of January next year.
The management of the CBN has sought and obtained the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari to redesign, produce, release, and circulate new series of banknotes at 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira levels. In line with this approval, we have finalized arrangements for the new currency to begin circulation from December 15th, 2022, after its launch by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The Apex Bank expects the development to help mop up currency in circulation, thereby giving it better control. It as well hopes this will address the spate of kidnapping, whereby cash is mostly paid as ransom, and control rising currency counterfeiting issues.
The redesign of the currency will help deepen our drive to entrench cashless economy, as it will be complemented by increased minting of our e-Naira. Also, in view of the prevailing level of security situation in the country, the CBN is convinced that the incidence of terrorism and kidnapping will be minimized, as access to large volume of money outside the banking system used as source of funds for ransom payments will begin to dry up.
The Apex Bank expects the move to address rising inflation as well. It wants the public to immediately begin depositing cash in banks and directs the banks to immediately stop all charges on deposits to drive the process. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, so there's the central bank governor there when he made the announcement. As you could see, it was a pa announcement because he just, got up. No need for questions and that kind of a thing. Just about everything that needed to be said has been said. Well, Mr. George, good morning to you, sir. You've called in even before I was ready. A fine morning to you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
The topic is very fascinating. That's why
Yes, and we haven't heard from our own people yet.
Yes. Uncle Yori, the drama that is surrounding the whole episode is suspicious. I've never seen, whatever is the reason that the CBN governor is giving for this, I've never seen a situation where in a country that has both monetary and fiscal policy managers want to change its currency, then the area that, the agency that oversees the economy and the fiscal policy is excluded. Even the Bank of England can never try that. How is it that the Minister of Finance in our country will not know that the currency of this country is about to be redesigned?
Exactly.
This is how I said in one of our earlier programs that MDAs and some ministers are playing on the trust that the president places on them. If I were the president, the governor of the central bank brings this kind of proposal, I will call the Minister of Finance myself to hear his output.
Okay.
And then the approval was given. What I am saying, Uncle Yeri, is that I suspect a political witch hunt in this matter. Somebody wants to use it to punish somebody.
You know, Mr. George, just along the lines of saying, when this, shall we say, disagreement, or shall we call it a misunderstanding between the minister and the rest of us, or the whole financial system there, when it came up, Garba Shehu is reported to have been on a Hausa-speaking program, and it was released that, wait a minute, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance is a member of the board of CBN by design. So if Madam Minister has her permanent secretary in there, I think it was Garba Shehu, the spokesman of the president.
Uncle Yori, how are we sure that the board of CBN itself was carried along in this project?
Well,
don't forget that the National Assembly has of recent had reasons to attempt to make a law that the CBN governor should no longer be the chairman of the board of CBN because of the way the governor has been getting involved in the political arena.
Okay.
This one he is doing now, I am of the view that he is doing it to favor a particular candidate in the coming elections.
All right.
Because what else could be the reason?
Well, the reason, as you know, what we have up front is that, well, first of all, normally the cycles are something like, 5 to 8 years, but we've been going strong on our old dirty notes, which is another reason. The old dirty notes are embarrassing to the nation. So this is an opportunity to change them.
I'm sorry, I know all that. But let us look at it. I have an insight into the workings of CBN. The money that he claims is not in circulation, most of it are in the banks, which is being supervised by the CBN.
Well, that's a problem. Maybe we'll talk about it because, you remember, Mr. George, interesting point you bring up. When the news came out, it was that there's a total of 3.2 trillion naira in circulation. 2.73 of this was reported to be outside of the vaults. Outside of the vaults.
That's what I'm saying. But what I wanted to point out to you, sir, is that this huge amount that he claims is not inside the banking system, the cash is in many of the commercial banks. They are not in any account. CBN knows. If the governor of CBN says he's not aware of this, let him swear by the God he serves that he's not aware that some huge cash are lodged by people known to him in commercial banks that are not inside any accounts. But the bankers know about it.
Okay.
So the one he is saying that is not in circulation, those huge lodgements are part of it. They cannot fool everybody. Some of us know what is happening. Whether they like it or not, the person that will win this election to fix this country will win it.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. George. Well, that's an interesting, because what Mr. George is saying right there, and I suspect he's not about the only one. They've said, yep, we've heard the upfront reasons, the standard reasons, all those reasons which were given about, oh, by the way, the cycle, that countries usually do this thing by. For some reason, we've been very, very thrifty. We've not printed new notes. We've not done this. We've not done that. So we have dirty notes, stinking notes. And apart from the question that Mr. George has just commented upon, that look, the difference between 3.2 trillion and 2.7 trillion is what is in the banking system. But again, you heard Mr. George calling in from Ikeja and his opinion on that. And now, the whole speculation that this is, there's more to this than meets the eye. That there's more to this than meets the eye. Well, it's indeed, you might speculate like that as long as we call it speculation. Because I just told you the official reasons, and we know what to do. We know how we handle official reasons. Madam Ada in Jos. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Yori, Ada calling from Jos. Good morning. Interesting topic. I was about to step out, then I looked at the topic. I said, no, I must call. And I'm happy you started taking calls early enough. Mr. Yori, I listened to Professor Kingsley Moghalu yesterday on Sunday Politics Channels. You know, he was a former deputy CBN.
Yes.
And if what he said is anything to go by, I don't think the CBN governor is wrong. He said that it is done by a board, and the permanent secretary, just like you mentioned, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance is a member of that board with others, and the deputy governor and all the rest of them. And then they will now, he will now make this decision known. So if anybody who is supposed to tell the Minister of Finance, if she claims she was not told, which I doubt happened, it is that permanent secretary that is supposed to have told her. And then that the CBN is independent and is in no way accountable or answerable to the Minister of Finance. That we should get that right. That when Okonjo Iweala was there, she respected it and she kept on saying it. You know, unless things will change, but that is the way it should be. Then, but what I want to say here is that if I were the Minister of Finance, assuming she was not told, I'm saying assumption, I will use some kind of emotional intelligence, you understand, as a public officer. I wouldn't have that kind of outburst. You know, it was not necessary. It was unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. There was no diplomacy, you know, because I don't know, in short, I can't understand what is going on.
Indeed.
But
Indeed.
my own concern now is that whatever the recipient wants to achieve cannot be achieved in a country that doesn't have strong institutions. That's the problem we have in Nigeria. We don't have strong institutions. It can only be achieved where policies work. The problem now is the masses will be the ones to suffer. All these things about terrorism, go after the terrorists. They've told us that they know them. Why have they not persecuted them? We don't hear about them again. Then when you're saying ransom money, they will still get back to the bank through the corrupt practice and still change these monies and still get the new ones. What are we talking about? Just digging a new one to feel like old one. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying. But the problem is that he may not be able to achieve it because of the system we run.
Okay.
We have a structural problem. Mm-hmm. God bless this not country. Let's not give our Nigeria a shot.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Ada, you have evolved a standard closing, and so much so that if anybody calls herself Ada and doesn't round up with Ogadima, we begin to question the veracity, whether it is the real Ada from Jos. But thank you very much, jokes apart. Thank you very much for calling in, because there are all sorts of speculations that are going around here, and all sorts of meanings. Remember, Mr. George just said, look, whoever will win that election will win that election, implying, of course, that whatever shenanigans will come up to. But the banking people, the CBN governor, he was staying strictly on the corridor of banking. Of course, there are people who would be asking, wait a minute, why now? Yeah, we hear what you're saying. The notes are dirty. They're embarrassing to Nigeria. Yeah, the public is hoarding money. Yeah, but now somebody's called in again. Mr. Yakub.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, sir. Calling in from Dokwemu.
Yes, good morning, Chief Yori.
Go right ahead, sir.
Happy to talk to you once again.
Yes.
Chief Yori, I listened to Moghalu yesterday as well. Yes, we have every right to be skeptical about any innovation that Nigeria is doing, because Nigerian citizens is more or less lost trust, quote and unquote. But if it is to go by what Moghalu is saying yesterday, by law, he says, as last caller said, he says that law says that Nigeria should recycle their notes every 4 to 8 years. But apart from the one they did in 1999 thereabout, this is 20 years that they have been done that. If it is truly that genuinely they want to do this, I think by law they were right. But another thing is that if Minister of Finance claimed that she does not know about this, by law again, according to Moghalu as well, they don't even need to tell her they want to do this, except Mr. President. Are you getting my point, sir? Except Mr. President. And then also, they even have somebody representing her in the board. So if the person fails to tell her that this thing is going on, I think the proper channel to let Mr. President knows he knows the proper channels to say that, either to come to the public and beginning to tell us that she don't know. In the first place, she don't have rights to know. That is number one. Number two, according to the money that all these bandits and whatever head on, if this Naira note or the 500 Naira, 1,000 and the 200 Naira change, yes, if truly Nigeria is patriotic, I'm talking about the bankers now, especially the bank managers. Are you getting it now? All those money in their hand, it will never return back to the system. And then in order for them to exchange it, but we lack patriotism. If we have patriotism, in fact, we can even use as a tool to even get them arrested, because they will force to bring those money back to the bank. And then, believe me, you, Chief Jury, the bank manager, I'm sorry to say this, and then I'm starting to be corrected. The bank manager is about to make more money. I'm telling you for the fact, because this guy will promise them equal the amount of the same. If they can be able to allow them to take that money back to the bank and collect the new one, that is what is going to happen. But if our security agencies is up notch, especially the DSS, they can be able to trace them, even trace the unpatriotic bank managers, so that they can be able to hold them responsible and prosecuting them together. Good morning and God bless you, my chief.
Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for calling in. Well, a number of things sort of arise. People seem to be suspicious. Yeah, the conditions are such that, look, they're going to be changing the designs of those notes. Yeah, that's okay. Now, it follows that I think the president, when people were speaking on behalf of the president, or was it the president himself speaking, that, look, they are sure that there will be no problem with regular, ordinary, law-abiding, honest businessmen. After all, let's face it, you don't expect to go to Dangote's house and find 1 billion Naira in a cupboard somewhere. That's not the way the business works. So when you now come to the bank, I think that's what Mr. Yakub was relating to. When you show up in the bank with, I don't know, let me just say off the top of my head, 500 million Naira or 1 billion Naira, I suppose there will be guidelines. I suppose the bank manager will not be out of order to ask you, sir, ma'am, where exactly is your shop? What is it that you sell? You get my meaning. You know, what is it that you sell? You know, no sweat. I'm just asking. I just want to know. So if you should say to the manager that it's none of your business, or, you know, don't ask me questions, I imagine they might be able to escalate it. But in the meantime, someone has called in from Jos. Good morning, Bob. Did I get that right? Bob in Jos. Ben. Yes. Ben, Jos. I beg your pardon. Good morning, Ben. Ben, can you hear us? We've been to Jos this morning, or at least Jos has been to us this morning. But so sorry about that. So you know, that's the other big reason the president is reported to have said, and he didn't even need the president to have said so, that a lot of money seems to be buried underground. Now, that might be, you know, something that people our age can only remember when you go back to Treasure Island literature in Form 1 or 2, that whoever buries money under the ground, in the ground anymore. But apparently people still do. Even in recent times, there were people who would tell you about, you know, purpose-built warehouses. Purpose-built warehouses where this kind of a thing can be stored. In fact, I think we've seen the spectacle of moldy money. It's been kept in improper conditions for so long, it's all moldy, maybe even poisonous. Even when it's not poisonous, if you go to the bank, everybody knows about bank counters. You know, they have this, before COVID, they had these face masks. Somebody's on the line. Who's on the line? Where are we? Reverend Dominic, a fine morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Yori. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yori, honestly, this debate, to me, personally, I think it's unnecessary. Can you hear me?
Which part of the debate is unnecessary?
I mean, the redesigning or not redesigning. The argument and the further is, to me, it's unnecessary.
Okay. Why? How about the reasons given? Are you okay? Are you down? Are you happy? Are you satisfied with the reasons given for the action?
Yes. Yes, that reason is okay by me. If we can flow it to the letter, that reason is okay. Now, for you to know that reason, Yori?
Yeah.
Can I hear you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for you to know that reason is good, one of the people that give us concern, I use that word advisably, Gumi, the Muslim Sharif, the Muslim cleric, has come out and said that if we change that note, it will make the armed robbers and kidnappers demanding for dollars. Whose side do this man belong to? To the side of kidnappers
Yeah,
or
that
terrorists,
question was
or
raised.
to the side of Nigerians?
Yeah. You saw that in the papers yesterday, or maybe earlier, but I saw it in the papers yesterday, and I asked the question to my mind.
I was shocked, sir. Which side do this man belong to? I don't want to blame him. If I can hear you, his spokesman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
His spokesman had been arrested. His spokesman was culpable. I don't know how they arrested his spokesman and his full soldier and still let the man stay in his house. That's Nigerian criminal system that gave me a headache. That is, by the way. Let me say this. When George said he will make somebody to win and lose, does it make any sense? If a good presidential candidate is holding money in his house, does he want to be a president of Nigeria? If anybody, a Nigerian who wants to govern us, is holding money, does he want to be a president? This policy is good. Since the CBN governor wanted to be a president, he lost my respect. But he against it for this policy. Number three, the lady, our finance minister, should be careful. In a government, that's what we call corporate understanding and responsibility. She should be careful. CBN is independent, no matter the politics of Nigeria. They don't need to consult her. This man is doing his work. He has consulted the president. And Mr. President tells him to go ahead. If that woman has issue, you should go back to Mr. President. Why should he come openly to say that? When he criticized this governor, he's criticizing my president, the Federal Republic of Nigeria President, Mohammed Buhari. This person he criticized. If you have a boy around you and someone says your son or your someone's head is big, he's talking to you. That woman should be careful. This man has taken the right direction. We must mop out money. Dig billions in the bush. Let's see how we get to the bank. I support my friend Yakub. Bank managers must be monitored now. Bank directors must be monitored now. Bank supervisors must be monitored. We bring 1 billion. We should ask where you get that money. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Reverend Dominic. I was saying that they're likely to be, you can't just, yes, the government has said that there's a window in which you can exchange your notes. I think you can go ahead and do so right up until, the last day of the year, or, that kind of a thing. But I imagine that if anybody brings a bullion van with 1 billion naira in it, I imagine it won't be a smooth transition. There are questions that are necessarily going to be asked. Nobody said this, but it just stands to reason, doesn't it? So I don't know if this is also, quite frankly, there's a lot going about this that one doesn't know, but that is to say, we can only go with what we have been told as to the reason why this exercise has to be done. There are people who think that it is political in nature, and then of all the things, Sheikh Gumi's spokesperson has said that this is, the government should not be concerning itself with this. That was in yesterday's paper, should not be concerning itself with this kind of an operation, especially as it is on the way out. And in any case, it will only make the kidnappers demand dollars, foreign currency, instead of the... I, quite frankly, didn't know what to make of that. But Dr. Muda Yusuf, who is our guest, CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, former DG, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Yes.
And as you can see, as a banking and finance person, you probably see what this is all about. But the rest of us, the ordinary ones among us, we are saying that might there be an additional reason that is unspoken about this? Before you came in, people have called in to say that, for instance, what you can read from the meaning of the sentence, whoever will win that election will win that election. So, I mean, we speak in proverbs, so that is enough. There's plenty there.
Yes. Really, from a purely economic point of view,
Sure.
there is no compelling argument, to undertake this exercise.
Okay.
As a monetary authority, we have more important things to deal with.
Okay.
That we expect from the monetary authorities. Look, for instance, at what is happening to our foreign exchange market. It's in a crisis. And on account of what is happening in that market, and on account of what is happening to our fiscal position, Moody's downgraded Nigeria as a high credit risk country because of the series of defaults externally and because of the weak fiscal position. That's a big issue that should be of major concern.
Especially as we are
to
trying to make
central
it
bank.
easier for people to do business with Nigeria.
Business, to invest. Our capital importation had practically dried up. And you can see all the crises we are having with airlines. Those are the ones that are very visible. There are so many other people, manufacturers. If they tell you their stories around these issues of foreign exchange and all the scandals that are going on around the forex market.
All of that, those
are fundamental issues. And look at even the exchange rate depreciation. I've heard people say this is not a dollar, but the dollar has a lot of implications for inflation. Look at what the inflationary situation has been. Even though the data is telling us 20.52% or something, effective inflation, if you talk to people on the street, it's more than 50%.
It feels like that. It feels
it's so bad.
And then complication, for political complication, if I can call it that, the Minister of Finance, no less, saying that she's not aware of this whole operation and that she was not consulted. Such an outburst, I don't know that was helping anything at all. It needed the president to now come back on and say, I gave full approval and it's going to be a good thing for us.
You see, it is also important for the presidency to take charge of the policy process. If we have a major policy pronouncement, this is without prejudice to the autonomy of the CBN. There is nothing wrong if the presidency refers a group of key officers in charge of the economy to also get a second opinion.
Okay.
The president has an economic advisor in the person of Dr. Doyin Salami, very brilliant economist. You have the Minister of Finance. You have some key people, who also are involved in economic matters. Even INEC is a stakeholder, especially at this time.
Even without prejudice to the fact that the Minister of Finance does not, the central bank does not report to the Minister of Finance, even without prejudice to that fact. You're saying that it behoves the presidency itself to, carry as many people along as possible.
What do you feel about this proposition? Because it's a major thing. Because it's going to disrupt a whole lot of things around the country.
Sir, but the madam knows that. She knows what you've just said, that she then went out and said as much. I don't know. Sometimes people find a way to smuggle their position out into the open, and maybe when she just spoke up, maybe she was relating to this point that you made, that without prejudice to the fact that yes, CBN doesn't report, what is wrong in, as you said, key ministers,
of course,
knowing about this thing and giving their own input?
Giving their own inputs. And I put this on the doorsteps of the key people advising the president.
Okay.
The surplus story. When we were told that the president has approved that something be sold to surplus, only for the regulators to say that, no, this is not correct. It took the regulator to get the president to reverse it. Some people put this in on the desk of the president. So we should tidy up this whole thing. So especially the fact that this whole argument and proposition doesn't have any serious economic argument, either theoretically or empirically.
Okay. And so,
to make it stand.
And so the whole matter about it might even be politically motivated, which some are resorting to because they've concluded what you've just said, that there's really no absolute economic reason for
nothing.
this. Nothing.
Now, I've heard argument. The CBN said 80% of currency in circulation is outside the banking system.
vaults.
Now, there's a confusion here. The CBN is confusing money supply with currency in circulation, which is not the same thing. The money in this economy, over 95%, are in the banking system.
I mean, that's a fact.
Yes, the money.
But you see, this is the
money is not only cash.
But this is the problem with statistics. When it is used in I'm going to come back and hear a bit more about this because it's important that even the viewers begin to get an understanding of what you mean. That look, money in supply. How did you
money supply
is not the same.
It's not the same thing as money in circulation.
Okay, we're going to come back and hear a bit more about this. Stay with us, please. I've got to do a quick break. And then we'll be right back. The same thing with our viewers that have been calling in. You're going to be able to call in now that Dr. Muda Yusuf is here to guide us in what indeed are the strict economic implications of all of this. He's told us none, as a matter of fact, but till then. Okay, so welcome back. And our guest is Dr. Muda Yusuf, CEO of Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. And you'll recall, he's a former DG, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And, he said that the whole currency redesign and exchange exercise, it might not be a bad thing, but there's absolutely no strict economic or financial reason for it. That's his stated opinion as an expert. And there are people who have, even if they've not used exactly the words that you use with the same authority, the implication is the same for them because they feel that there's something going on here that is not known to the rest of us.
Well, there is a theory that this is targeted at, kidnappers, politicians who want to buy votes, issues of...
criminals who can't bring money into the formal system.
Well, that is neither here nor there. But whether there are better ways of dealing with that, to avoid the kind of disruption that this kind of, coming around to exchange currency from all over. This is a very big country, but for goodness sake.
But Dr. Yusuf, do you think this will cause a disruption? Because most of the money is in the banking system, you've sort of explained.
Yes, and let me elaborate on that.
Yes.
There is currency in circulation. There is total money in the economy.
Yeah.
The total money, which you call money supply in the economy, as of September this year, was 49 trillion naira.
So which one is the 3.2 trillion in circulation?
The 3.2 trillion is the cash.
Okay.
If you see a multi-billionaire like Dangote and the rest of them, they may not be carrying more than 100,000 cash.
Yes.
But they have billions in their account. So the 3.2 is just the cash. And as a percentage of the money supply, it's just about 5.5%, maximum 6%. So in terms of materiality, within the framework of economic or monetary policy, it is not so material. And in any case, the essence of cash is for transaction. You don't have to keep it in the vault. The purpose of cash is for people to use to buy things, those who want to do cash transaction. And the total amount of cash as a percentage of money supply is just about 6%. And when you have cash is not meant to be kept in the vault. It's meant for people to buy things.
Exactly.
If you keep it in the bank, what is he going to be doing there?
But the fact that it is in the bank and they want to do a cashless, people are, speaking up for the cashless society now. The fact that you have 500,000 to your name means that you can electronically, invisibly, buy things.
Buy things.
Because the system would have checked that indeed the bank will be able to debit you 250,000.
In fact, most of these monies are in the bank. Electronic payment, first 9 months of this year was about 270 trillion.
Okay.
200 electronic payments. POS is over 6 trillion. Mobile transaction is also over 6 trillion. So you can see that in terms of our being cashless, we are even doing much better than some of these advanced economies. Well, because cash as a percentage of GDP in this economy is less than 2%. In many of these advanced economies, it's even much higher than that. So in terms of electronic payment systems, this economy is doing well. Our financial system is doing extremely well. So this issue of 80%, because some people talk as if it is 80% of the total money that is outside there.
Which is?
It's economic illiteracy. And people need to be educated, including the central bank itself. When you say 80% of cash, it's not the same thing as 80% of the total money supply in the economy. The total cash as a percentage of money supply is just about 6%.
Is that too much?
So what is the big deal about that? That is why I'm saying that the issues are not economic. Anybody who's talking about it, this will help fight inflation and all of that, because does not understand the key basic principles of monetary economics. With due respect, this has nothing to do. It's money supply that influences what happens to inflation. So
when people talk about too much money in circulation, you're saying that's a different subject from that which is being addressed.
Yes, here. It's a different. It includes money outside the bank and money within the banking system. So when they are mopping up, they are doing all this CRR and all of that. It is money within the banking system. That is what it's targeted at.
Okay.
Because close to 95% of the monies are still in the banking system.
Okay. Okay. Close to 95%, because you see, when they say that 2.7 trillion, and it sounds like a heck of a lot of money, is outside there, you're saying that
you relate it to the total money supply is 49 trillion. No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, if
you have a 2.7 trillion outside, I mean, what percentage is it?
Well, before you came along to sort of explain it, it means that these figures are a bit misleading, that we have 3.2 trillion in circulation, 2.73 of that is outside the vault.
It's cash.
That is
the cash component.
And I think the point you made is that money is more than just
cash. It's
cash.
More than. Okay. The bulk of the money is in the bank. It's in people's accounts.
John in Abuja, good morning, sir, and thank you for holding on. Good morning, John.
My name is John Eze from Abuja.
Okay, John, go ahead, Mr. Eze.
I want to comment on the issue of the Minister of Finance concerning the...
But we've passed that stage now. The president has said that it's a good action.
Yes, but I'm calling for a resignation. Because we don't know how she made her way to the FEC. It seems there is no synergy between those that work with the president.
I hear you. Okay. So, John, is that what you wanted to register, that you are sort of calling for the resignation of the minister?
Yes. Okay. He should resign.
Okay.
Because it's not serving the interest of the people.
Okay.
This is one of the best things the president is doing. We were not happy with the president, but now we are very, very happy with him because of this policy.
All right, then.
The minister should resign because he's serving us.
Well, thank you for calling in then, John. Thank you very much for calling in, John. Let me ask you about that, too, because, money can be very, very delicate, especially when you talk about the stock exchanges and all sorts of exchanges, comments by the president, by higher people, all affects it. Now, when the minister said what she said, that she was officially unaware of what was going on, never mind the mistake that she also made in thinking that they should be reporting to her, the point has been made that, in any case, central bank governor or the central bank does not report to the minister. How significant was that? Somebody just called in demanding her resignation.
No, you see, we also need to put these things in context. Mm-hmm. She was at the National Assembly to defend the budget or to discuss the budget of ministry or something like that. So this was just an aside. They asked her about it, and she said she's not aware. She's not consulted.
But the minister can't say that, sir. Or can't
but if she's not aware, she's not aware.
But she has a PAMSEC on the board.
Well, we don't know how that is something we can interrogate.
So the untidiness of it
Yes, we can interrogate that. Because if your PAMSEC is on the board, was this decision not taken by the board? That's another angle.
Somebody has noted that point before earlier.
Yes, if you are on the board and you attended the meeting, a decision was taken and you didn't report back to the minister, then something is wrong even within the ministry itself.
Yeah.
It's
just that.
But if she's not aware, because the way she said it, she said she's not aware, she was not consulted.
Yes, but well, I suppose it's not fair to second guess the minister, Madam Minister, because even if she was not aware,
yes,
is that the kind of place? Because you are right there on a public forum.
Yeah.
So to be saying something as disruptive, my word, as a policy that has been announced by the central bank and that purportedly has the backing of the president. It was purported at that time, but it has since been confirmed that it has the backing of the president. To now be saying that I dissociate myself from it because I've not been properly told. There's no way she didn't know, but she probably means she was not properly consulted.
Perhaps she should have, managed that communication
that area
better.
Differently.
Yes,
perhaps
more so that the CBN governor said that he got the approval of the president.
Exactly.
Yes,
and then they can.
Yes, they can now go,
the back room,
yes,
and talk about all of this.
And talk about whether the communication was right or not. So perhaps she should have also managed the communication well.
Yeah.
That is what because she also at least expressed a view on the whole idea in a very subtle way, on the whole idea of this currency denomination and all of that. So I think she should have managed it well. And talking about the objectives that the government wants to achieve. The CBN also talked about the fact that people are stacking away.
They're hoarding.
New notes and all of that.
Yes, thank you.
Now, the component of the new notes. On weekends, just go to event centers.
That's the point I was going to come back and make. So please continue.
People are hawking the new notes.
People are hawking brand new notes at any event center in Lagos.
Yes,
maybe
it's coming
outside
from
of Lagos. Where are these?
Exactly.
That Emefiele was complaining about dirty, stinking notes. But it is from the bank.
It's from the banks. And if you go as a bank customer to the bank, and that you need a brand new,
they won't answer you.
They won't give you.
So what's going on here?
What are they doing about that?
I understand there's another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Emmanuel in Benue State.
Yes.
Okay.
I greet your guest.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
I want to commend this government. They've done very well with their propaganda. They are perfect in propaganda.
Okay.
We are making a mountain out of an anthill.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary. Commonsensically speaking, whichever way it goes, head or tail, I think it's still all right. We are Nigerians. It doesn't take anything out of us. But the question I love to ask Mr. Godwin Emefiele is because he is a politician, and honestly, I don't like to believe most of them because they are compulsive liars. Now, let him tell me.
With language now, you know we have our language here now. It's okay. Please continue, Emmanuel.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be offensive.
Okay.
But I want to ask him a very pertinent question.
Sure.
Have they not printed the so-called notes by now? That is what I want your guest to attempt to answer for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
God
much.
bless
Well,
Nigeria.
Mr. Emefiele and whoever are his handlers would have heard you. I would guess, though, and I'm nowhere near Mr. Emefiele's spokespeople, but I would guess that the answer to your question is in the affirmative. You can't be talking about what you're talking about and they're going to print it later on, but I don't know is the answer. But Mr. Emefiele and his handlers have heard your question. I don't know if Dr. if Dr. Muda wants to come in on the whole matter, because I imagine that they will be prepared.
They will have been prepared, but again, just as you said, the CBN is in a better position to respond to that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because they tell us that the timeline for this thing is it will be commencing, the use of these notes will be commencing by the second week of of December.
Yeah.
15th.
15th.
Yeah. By the 15th of December.
Yeah.
So I would just
the time frame also for that looks also very short.
Okay.
And we are looking at, I think,
3 months.
No, I'm not sure it's up to 3 months, because for this kind of exercise, both the new notes and the old notes will exist side by side.
But they will be.
They will.
For a time.
Yes, maybe for a longer time.
Okay.
For ease, so that this rush
there
and
won't
all
be a
of that,
rush and a queue and all of that.
And this is a very big country.
One more, another caller. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Folani, right? Am I right? Good morning.
Sila, yes. Cecilia,
yes,
you are right. Folani.
Yeah. Can I go on?
Please.
Your guest is still talking. Can you listen to me?
Nobody's talking right now, Cecilia. Go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Now, my contribution to this is the fact that, first of all, what I call, hello, are you listening?
Why do you think we're not listening?
I call this a master, hello? I call this a master stroke by CBN.
Okay.
It is a master stroke in the sense that all those looters, those who have looted, those that have stolen our money, will have nowhere to send that money to. First of all, there is a policy. If you go to the bank and you have a certain amount, a policy by EFCC, if you have a certain amount, you must explain where the money is coming from. Are you listening to me? Those that have stolen our money, what I say to them, go share the money to the people, the real owners of the money. Those bandits that have taken the money will rot on their head. Hello? Are you listening?
Okay, so these are reasons for which you call it a master stroke.
It's a master stroke. Yes, indeed. It is a master stroke.
Indeed.
Our economy is going to get better.
Okay.
We all have teaching issues when there is a new policy. We must learn to adapt to new policies that will change our system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecilia, calling in from Abuja. It's a master stroke, according to
yes, a master stroke. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes some of these guys are smarter than, some of these arrangements. You can see what is happening to the dollar now.
Because you don't even know how tight this information was before it became known.
Exactly.
Maybe some people like it, I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm not suggesting anything, but there could be an insider trading aspect to it all.
Yes, I hope it works well the way they have planned it. But having said that, when we are fighting corruption, it is much better to concentrate on preventing it from happening in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If people are looting billions, hundreds of billions, what kind of governance system are we running that will allow that kind of thing to happen in the first place? Prevention, they say, is better than cure. I mean, we should have a framework. We are seeing reports of the Auditor General on people who are not accounting for money that are not accounted for. Some people have not rendered accounts for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they are government agencies. They are being funded by government. All of these things, I have not seen any serious action on all those auditors' reports.
Well, might this be a sort of a jump starting of the process? As Cecilia in Abuja said, it's a master stroke. Look, first of all, capture all dirty money, but by the time you can't explain where you got the 1 trillion naira that you want to exchange for, maybe, I don't know.
Some of the dirty money are already even sitting in the banks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Some of them are not even cash. Possibly most of them are not cash.
Okay.
I told you money supply is 49 trillion. So it's not only the one that is cash, that is you can describe out. There also could be dirty money even within the banking system.
Right.
Already.
And CBN, well...
So you have a more sustainable, a more holistic framework of preventing the looting, which is much better than after people have looted it, now begin to run around with AFCC to see. You know, it's much more efficient if you adopt a preventive approach.
You know, we've run out of time, but the point you made, I was going to make it, but everybody knows this point. In Lagos and maybe other capital cities around the country, for such frivolities as a birthday party or something party, in short, a party, there are people hawking brand new tear rubber mint currency.
Exactly.
Now you say to the bank, the way you hear they can say in other countries, that please, I want to exchange this money for mints. They'll be looking at you as, where is this one coming from? Well, they won't even ask how much. I mean, the point is you're not going to get it. But some people are getting money for no more an important objective than to be able to go spend at a party. So I don't know. People are not seeing all of this. There is nobody arresting, all these people and then backtracking it. Let's go to the bank. Where is the manager who authorized this? Where is the accountant? And everybody is in trouble so that if you want, enough said. Maybe there are people here who don't even like the much that I have said. So I'm not saying anything again. Just please go and be buying your mint currency on Saturday. I don't know how the word goes around, but I want to thank you very much, Dr. Muda Yusuf, CEO, Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise.
And my apologies for COVID.
Indeed, we understand.